this is Nate with Detroit Speed. We're here today with some 82 to 02 F-body products, so 3rd and 4th gen Camaro Firebird. We have some solutions from Detroit Speed and QA1 to show you how you can really upgrade the back end of your Camaro. Those of you familiar with the 3rd and 4th gen Camaros, you know the 7 5/8 is a super big weak link of the rear axle. The pinion's small, the ring and pinion is small, and typically it'll break pinion gears. So Detroit Speed's come up with a solution. We've taken our popular FN988, which is an 8/8 gear set and a dropout 9-inch, and we've included the integral torque arm mount. So this is a direct bolt into your 3rd and 4th gen Camaro. Accepts any stock aftermarket torque arm as long as it's factory dimensions. One of the big advantages of this, super tight packaging. It's very similar to the factory, but now you have the dropout case of a 9-inch style housing. So with the FN988, Detroit Speed has a couple different options. We can fully assemble this for you, multiple gear ratios, so 308s up to 411s. We standard use a True Track differential. We can also rim polish your ring and pinion for extra efficiency. If you want to do something outside of what we have available, we also can sell you a bare case. So say you're doing a 35 spline spool for your drag car, buying the bare case will still give you all the advantages of the FN988. The biggest advantage, again, for this packaging is the torque arm mount. So we do have two styles, if you're doing a standard muscle car, or if you're doing the 3rd and 4th gen Camaro. One of the major advantages of the 8/8 over the traditional 9-inch is pinion location. So the Ford 9-inch pinion was very low, and while this makes it extremely strong with the rear bearing, it also makes it noisier in applications. Over time, the aftermarket gears aren't quite as good as OE, Ford gears. So we've actually found that the 8/8 is a huge upgrade, not only for quiet, but also a lot more efficient. So put that power that you make at the engine down to the ground. So when we looked at designing a housing for the 3rd and 4th gen, we looked at all the different options out on the market currently. So there's a lot of housing manufacturers and there's a lot of suspension manufacturers. We're in a unique position where we do both. So we looked at, let's include all the upgrades in there for the customer. Make it easiest on you guys so you don't have to worry about compatibility. So with that, what we've done, we've got coilover mounting in the front, and then we also have the big coil on top. So you got options on your suspension. You want to run big coil with a factory style shock, you can do that, or a coilover. When you lower these cars, it's very important to lower the trailing arm just to keep correct angles. Typically you want the lower trailing arm running uphill to the chassis a little bit. So that's all right built in. You got 4 holes of adjustability there. Increased adjustability on the backside. So track bar has 3 holes for relocation. You can lower the roll center down up to 2 inches. Out on the end, we use a flush mount Torino bearing, so really large bearing, fits in here, uses 4th gen backing plates to retain everything in. Major upgrade over the factory axles, and you don't have C-clips to worry about, so your axle is actually retained by a pressed on bearing. Super safe compared to the C-clip axles. Some additional features we included, we have a nice little parking brake kit. So a couple brackets that bolt on, helps you route factory parking brakes for the 4th gens. And then also a brake line tab here, so your brake line comes off the chassis, bolts on here. You can run your hard lines, and your soft lines run straight out to the factory style calipers. The last nice little upgrade, sway bar mounts are welded on. You don't have to run a U-bolt around here, so it just takes a little bit of weight off of the axle. All right, so we've covered the housing a little bit. Now let's talk about how do you get power from the center section out to my wheels. With that, we got everything you need as far as axles, tone rings, all the bearings, all in a nice, easy, complete kit. So we'll start with the axles. They're 31 spline, large diameter axles. These are all built by Moser, so super high quality. Lots of great reputation in the industry for building good axles. M12 studs, so no lug nut changes compared to your front. With that, we touched on it a little bit. These large Torino bearings press on. These are actually retained by a 4th gen backing plate. So you'll slide your backing plate on, press the bearing on, all the retainers you need are included. Also included, T-bolts, all the hardware you need, all the shock spacers, seals. Everything that you get with this kit is ready to go into the vehicle. One of the last advantages of the FN988 is actually the fact that you can reuse your drive shaft. So the distance from here to the center line of the pinion is the same as the 7 5/8. So the drive shaft can be reused. All you gotta do is conversion U-joint to 1350. We're gonna talk about some of the QA1 torque arm options. So here we have a cross-member mounted pinion angle adjustable torque arm. So very easy to adjust pinion from the bottom of the vehicle. Moving forward, you have a secondary cross member that this mounts to. There's multiple cross member options available, all depending on what transmission you're using in your vehicle build. Also have some stock mount type bolts to the side of the transmission. Again, they have pinion angle adjustment built into them. For more information on the Detroit Speed FN988, check us out at detroitspeed.com. And for the QA1 Torque Arm, QA1.net.